Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. Saturday evening, I'm at Patrick's as you can see, and tonight I want to talk about food shortages again. The reason I want to do this is that wasn't actually what the subject of tonight's video was supposed to be. Tonight's video was going to be how I was going to slow down on the buying preps and start rotating stock, etc., because we probably had enough for 18 months to 2 years, just buying in fresh. Then when I arrived at Patrick's this afternoon, I jumped on YouTube and there was a video about, it was American ranchers, and they were watching a video from an Australian farmer. And the cost of everything that they've got is huge. And they're saying that, people are trying to buy up the farms, etc., but not for farming, for building, so they're running out of farmland. So I was like, wait a minute, possibly this is worse than I thought. So off I went hunting, as I do, and I did Google, I searched YouTube, and I put in food shortages UK, excuse me, food shortages UK 2022, 2023, and everything is from either last month or a couple of months ago. I think the most recent one is 2 weeks. But if you remember, the governor of the Bank of England said there would be apocalyptic food shortages. I even did a video on it. It's further back in time somewhere. I will do a pointy thing and hopefully put a link to it shortly. So there was all this came out a couple of months ago about the food shortages. Since then, we have had droughts that we have never seen for many a year in this country, and we have had many wildfires. And it's not just here. France, obviously, as you've seen in the news recently, has had, I think, the worst wildfire they've ever seen. They've had to call in firefighters from all over Europe to help them. Thousands of acres have been burnt. Trees, crops, the whole lot. It's just taken everything. Add that to the other wildfires throughout Europe, throughout other countries, throughout the world, and the other droughts that are going on. The cost of farming has increased so much. As you've probably seen in the news here, farmers are now using their winter feed to feed their cows or sheep or whatever animal they've got, because they can't graze them on the grass. There's no grass anymore. It's just dry tinder. So if that's happening here, and we're at, 30-something. I mean, Spain, Portugal and France have been at 40-something, have they not? I mean, they've had, so there's so many crops are not there. And then you've got to remember, if you look back, there was the report of, in England, there was crops rotting in the field because there was no one to pick them. Now that was this summer. That's next summer's food. And if they can't plant this October because the ground's too hard, then that's next year's food as well. So where is all this food to feed us going to come from next year? So personally, I will be prepping more, which will probably drive poor Patrick, who's sitting across there, mad, because he thought I was going to calm down, because we had the whole discussion earlier today that I felt better. Now we were just going to rotate because, there's only the two of us and I don't need to have my whole house full of preps. That conversation is now null and void completely, and I will be going and prepping more, because the amount of farmland that has been destroyed by drought, by wildfire, etc. is quite considerable. And I don't think it is going to leave us unaffected. I think there's going to be a lot of problems in the coming months. So I'm going to make sure that I am as best prepared as I can. And I would advise you to do the same. So you bet your life I am going to the supermarket tomorrow morning, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I will be shopping, which was supposed to be the video of me telling you I'm not going shopping like that anymore. Oh yes, I am. I will be there tomorrow. I will be prepping up, because when you take all this stuff as a whole, the energy costs, the cost of fertiliser, pesticides, the wildfires, the droughts, where is next year's food coming from? Because it's certainly going to be a lot less than this year. So on that cheery note, I will leave you, and I will go and have a relaxing evening with Patrick, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening.